calling out, are they players or this or that. All he's doing is taking the attention away from his group and putting it somewhere else. Yeah. I think right now, Cardiff are in pole position. I think they're just like, they're so dialed in from the top down there that it is going to be extremely hard for anybody to compete. I mean, Lordo is he is addicted to winning. He's the guy is a fanatic when it comes to coaching and winning. I just think, he has that vision of what he wants and the way they want his team to play, and he gets it. And it's got, Todd Kelman. There's a reason Todd Kelman, the trophies follow Killer around, and a general manager is as important as your coach. You need that guy you need him to know exactly what you're thinking. You need to be, from a coach standpoint and the recruitment and everything. He has to be on the same page, and if not working harder than you are. And they are. Those two are when you go to Cardiff, it's completely dialed in. It's NHL level. The way they treat everything is just, and now everybody's going to have to step up to do it. Sheffield are going to step up. Tomo, he's like, we have to be better. Tony Smith, we have to be better. We have to now, they raise the bar, we have to go get it. And that's what you need when you're talking about winning trophies. It's not, it's not put a team together and we should win, we're ahead. It's not that. I mean, it started last week, like that preparation would have started for Cardiff and Sheffield the next morning for next year. And that's what, if you want to be a great organization, everybody needs to be on the same page for the one reason. And then you have a chance to get out there and do it. And, and that's what you need to win. And that's what I'd like. That's where I came from. And obviously I played in Sheffield, and then you feel it when you're there. You feel it when you're in Sheffield. I always say when you're in Sheffield, we would go practice, and my biggest fear was Mike O'Connor coming down the hallway, because that meant he's going to take me for lunch, and I got to go spend the next 3 hours with him driving around to sponsors. But when you're a player, it's like, you just want to go home. I'm done practice, been yelled at for 2 hours and bag skated. I just want to go home. But Okie every day, and it would be like, I run out of places to hide in the dressing room to avoid him. And it'd be like, but you know what I mean? And then you go around and you talk to every sponsor, how you doing? And you go to their work and you have a coffee, and that's what, and like guys like that behind the scenes, but he ultimately, that means a lot. It makes things click. It keeps people engaged and happy, and you need that. You need that to your organization grows by that.
So basically, everybody in the organisation's got to be on top of their game, from attracting sponsors, keeping the sponsors happy, keeping the players happy, keeping the fans happy. It's all got to click before we're even going to have a chance, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously despite what I read about all the time on Twitter and Facebook and anything else, but I'm a big believer in treating people right. You know what I mean? You treat people right, you're not bigger than anyone, and it's amazing what people will do when you are nice and you look them in the eye and you're respected. I mean, I've seen it, man. I've saw it for 4 years when I was like, I need this and I need that, and then the generosity, and you don't forget it. It's fun. It's how you build your organization. I do. I think generally there's a buzz. People are excited. They feel part of it. And that's something that I think we really need to do a better job creating here is just not necessarily agreeing with everything every fan says. And it's not necessarily answering every email, and, cause God, you'd be there all day trying to put out fires, but it's just putting an honest effort into doing things right and treating people correctly, because it's like, man, this place is amazing to play, and it could be, and I think it could go to that next level overnight. And I truly do, but it's hard work. It's and that's the thing, it's not easy. It's not. Don't wake up tomorrow and be like, yeah, that sounds like it's hard work. It's a lifestyle change, but if you have passion and you want to win, and people don't work in sport for money, nobody gets rich here. Everybody here could go make more money doing something else. That's the God's honest truth. There's probably jobs back home, or family jobs, or they can use their education that mostly everyone has, but it's here because it's your passion. It's what you do, and you want to win, and winning comes in so many different forms.
I mean, one of the questions I want to ask you as well, the structure at Braehead, we don't seem to have a general manager as such. It seems to be a two-pronged thing with a commercial director and a hockey operations director. Does that make the head coach's job just a wee bit more difficult when they're trying to communicate with more than one person to get the same outcome?
Yeah, I think this league's a bit different when it comes to that, as far as like what a GM would do here and what a GM maybe in the NHL would do. And for Gareth and I, basically, I'd have a vision, and Gareth would broker the contract with the owner, and we'd, that's kind of how we did it, it's the coaches here generally are the GMs. You're the ones outside of doing the actual how our relationship works. Is Gareth would be the middle guy towards the owner, and then we would, and I'd go out and he would do the contracts, and we'd send players, but I mean, there's very little. It depends on your turnover as far as actual like nitty gritty of contracts. There's a lot of guys that just kind of know exactly the range that they're coming in. Are guys. I mean, put it this way: Matt Keefe didn't have a pay raise in 3 years. Signed him to a 2-year deal, extended the 3rd year, and it was boom, 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 boom. And that was, and that contract that I did with Keith there 3 years ago just basically just went status quo, cool. And Keith's biggest thing was, I remember I'd FaceTime houses. He always he needed to know where he was going to live. He needed to know what it looked like. Oh, he'd drive and I'd be FaceTiming him, and I was like, hey, come on. Like, and he was so, but that, like, I go back, nobody knows that. It's like your housing. And in Braehead, if you can picture where Ferry Village is, if you're not in Ferry Village or in and around here, then it gets kind of scarce. There's not a lot of, you don't want to say bad areas, but to get to the next kind of nice area like this where yeah, well, I don't know how you sugarcoat that any better. Yeah, to get to like another Ferry Village, it's quite a ways away, right? And of course that was my biggest thing. I'd have housing, and then I'd be doing my visa. I tended to do my visa real quick and get back to work, because I didn't like to be in Canada because there's just so much to do. And the housing was always like, I remember just phoning all these letting agencies and just going into them like, hey, anything in Ferry Village, you got to call me. And I kept giving my card out. And then I was like, these guys aren't calling me back. I got to chase them. And they're like, we've been trying to find you. And I looked and I'm like, oh yeah, I changed my phone number, didn't I? I didn't I forgot all my cards that I got 4 years ago that I actually changed my phone number halfway through it. So, God, I'm not the best business person in the world, but yeah, no. But it's just like, that is so key here, and it's such a thing that fans would never think in a million years. Yeah. Housing, like, to be in Ferry Village is, and it's funny because you get players that never played here, and they're like, yeah, I'd like to live in that. I'd like to live in that ferry, that ferry part. And like, obviously, somebody said, hey, you got to be in Ferry Village, and they're like, oh, you mean like Ferry Village? Yeah. That I'd like that. I have to have that. And you're just, and he just talked to somebody. That's why Neil Trim told him, oh, you got to get in Ferry Village. If you're going to play in Braehead, you got to make sure. So it's, that the housing is so crucial. And
I remember when Jeff Smith came here, there was a problem getting him housed. And I can't remember how I get involved. But anyway, I know where he ended up, and we'll keep that between ourselves. And you just thought, oh, for God's sake. Jeff Smith's away out in the mid, right in the centre of Glasgow somewhere. Yeah. And you're thinking, oh, he can't be happy about that. But he finds out where he's going. That was, I think, exactly one of the examples, exactly what you're talking about. But yeah. Yeah, how did that? I think because it was such a short lease, I think it was only a 3-month lease or something. Yes. Yeah. It was, that's what it was. It was, we had him in the hotel and we had to get him out. We were just, the owner was just paying so much money for him in the hotel. Smitty, by the way, is probably one of the greatest humans in the world. I don't know if there's a better guy out there. More genuine, nicest guy you've ever met. It just happens to be 6'5" and pretty tough, but he is so nice. Smitty, he was kind of an awkward one because he came, I remember doing that. And I know where he ended up, and I remember I took him there because I'm like, hey, it's not good, but we can't take on another 6 months lease. You're only here. Yeah. But it was one of those all inclusive ones,
So it was like you would just pay this. There's no council taxes, none of this. It's just like a boom, boom. And I remember it. I'm like, you don't have to stay here, but you can't stay in the hotel anymore. And I don't know where else I'm going to put you.
Yeah, it wasn't the best area.
No, it was terrible. But he's and I'm like, are you sure? And he was okay with it. I mean, those situations. But again, it's not like we didn't say, hey, we said, Smitty, you're out of here. See you later. Just head over to this postcode and good luck. He was like, yeah, man, it's fine. It's cool. I've never had my own place before. I think he said something like that. So I'll make it work. And he did, but yeah, no, that was a pretty extreme case. We had some other ones we pulled out in Annie's Land that were just awful places. You mean just awful? Guys just wouldn't live there. Like, no. And I remember thinking, well, what are we going to do with these places? And I remember thinking, like, if we bring somebody in, don't tell them that there's a bad place, because I'm going to try to put him in there, and sure enough, they tell him. He doesn't want to stay there either. There's a ton of that. I mean, there's but at the end of the day, it was never from a lack of effort when they didn't always work, but I'd say we clicked at about 90% in my time of making sure guys were in decent spots. But
I'm just sitting here thinking our new head coach is going to have to be an expert in property management along with everything else. From what you're saying, I said
whoever comes in, I'll give him my Rolodex. I'll give him my gangster Rolodex and call this guy and this guy. If you hear about this, yeah. And I think so that's what. But I said, man, I know more people here than I know in my hometown.
I was going to say, I think it's a lot of this stuff that fans don't really realise that you had to do. And that's the tip of the iceberg as well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not like a promote. This is just kind of, I fell into it from day one, and it just kind of stuck with me. I became the letting agent in day one, and I just, but then I always did things that I wasn't always easy to work with because I just expected, I expect this level of, and if I don't get it, then I get mad and I just do it. And I'm sure people out there understand, like you just, and Emma hates that. I mean, my Emma just drives her insane, but and it just, if it affected my players and I needed to be on it as well. I didn't always have that. I needed to be on. I needed to know that it was done and it was done correctly and professionally. And if I didn't care about myself. I mean, I just needed to know that it was done and how it's done and who, because ultimately it's going to land on me if we don't treat a player right, or if we don't, and that's wives and that's kids and that's everything. To extended family coming in, we should do something for the family coming in. We don't have the budget, but it's not always money, right? It's, there's so many, to make this place an unbelievable and a great place to play, it's the little things. It's not the big things. And I always said that it's the tiny things that don't cost money that make all the difference at the end of the day. And sometimes fans just see winning and losing, and that, and I get that. I mean, Christ, I get that. And when I'm a fan, I'm just going to care about winning and losing, and that's what we do. And I watch the Oilers play. I don't care what happened to Todd McClellan today. He better win tonight. We're in the playoffs for the first time in 45 years. But yeah, no, you get that. But when you in Braehead, we're not there yet, and that they have to get there eventually. They have to get, we're growing pains, and then that. But I think for the organization, that would be my only advice is, if you want to win trophies, it's got to be all together. Everybody's got to be in one, and your players are your biggest asset. Treat them like gold. Take their excuses away. Don't give them any excuses. They'll find some. Just don't give them any. Don't give them any. They'll trust me. Yeah. Trust me. New age kids will find a billion of them, but don't give them any. Don't just hand them out, because that. And I think that's what the clubs like Cardiff and these guys do. I mean, we all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. There's areas you look back and say, oh, you shouldn't have done that or this or that. But I mean, that's just life. But but it is still a great place to play, and players love playing here. I mean, the atmosphere in the arena is it's the best in the league. Go play in front of 8,000 people in Nottingham. It's not, it's nothing. Done 100 times. It's not loud. You score one goal and they're quiet. Braehead, when it gets going, you can't describe it.
Yeah. The kind of thing with the arena just now is it's for the crowds we're attracting, it's probably the perfect size, and there's all these stories about a new arena, it might be too big. And I mean, I've been down to Sheffield when they played in the old Motor Point when there was only been half full, and it's like a morgue. It's not a good atmosphere. The arena just seems to be a perfect size for us just now. One thing I wanted to quickly rewind back to was when Graeme was talking about the conferences. One of the things I've been battering on about the last year or